Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first AMA session about fundamentals and SDKs. I am going to invite the speakers to the stage, and we can get started straight away.
As for today's agenda, as Clara already mentioned yesterday, our initial plan was to start with the fundamentals of MultiversX blockchain and provide insights into the SDKs. Unfortunately, not all materials are ready to be published, but by the end of today, trust me, we'll be posting all of them. So we have 16 very interesting workshops to be published. The first 4 of them you have seen. And of course, we will invite you all to tune into our upcoming AMAs for more interactive Q&A sessions. So as I said in the beginning, we will discuss, as an agenda, we'll discuss about the fundamentals, SDK.js, SDK.py, and the MX.py CLI, if you had the chance to watch them. Otherwise, my colleague here, Alex, will be supporting me into answering questions regarding the hackathon rules, prizes, ideas which are going to be published. Yeah, so with the formalities out of the way now, I think we can dive into the matter. So who's ready to step up, break the ice, ask the very first questions? Daniel, we've seen the smart contract example transactions with coins. How can we actually pack data and transmit receive? For instance, data about a person. So for the beginning, we are going to cover only SDKs and blockchain fundamentals today. For smart contract details, messaging through smart contracts, and so on, we will have our colleagues from smart contract teams, and they are going to answer your questions. So that's why I'll jump to the next one from Bogdan. What libraries should we use for mobile application? I see in the Hacker Pack a session related to React Native. When will the React Native session be published? The React Native session will be published today. What about native support main mobile development languages? I'm referring to Kotlin, Java, and Swift. Are these languages supported during this hackathon? So we will support what we've supported until now. But for further questions, you can come and contact our colleague from mobile apps development, which is Stanislav Stan. He should be available on the Discord server. Where are the links to the all mentioned SDKs for React Native, Kotlin, and Swift? We will publish them all together with the resources. What platform is this hackathon recommending? Bogdan, could you please mention when you are mentioning platform, what are you referring to? Like development platform or, yeah. Where do you find that hacker pack?
I can answer that. The Hacker Pack should have been sent to you when you signed up. We send out an onboarding emails, including the links to the Discord servers and the Hacker Pack. If you haven't received it, please email me or ping me on Discord. I'm going to send you my email in the chat right now, and I will send it to you and figure it
out. Thank you, Ovi, for answering to the packages. GNXMass. Can you share good practices for developer, like managing .environment data and add-ons for Visual Studio Code? I think, Andrei, can you jump in here and answer this question?
Well, yes. Hello, everyone. At first, about good practices for developers. Well, you should have, when we mean good practices, please follow common sense and please follow everything you've learned until now about programming and design and so on. And to be specific for in regards with using our libraries, we invite you to read the docs and to ask us anything on Discord or Telegram. The documentations, the the official docs contain cookbooks for, I don't know, for SDK.js, how to connect to the network, how to sign and create transactions, how to do most of stuff. And the same goes for the other SDKs, for the Python SDK. So good practices, common sense, and everything you've learned about engineering until now, plus what you find on docs. And the other question about .env data is such a specific question, and it has to be answered in context. The context has to be provided. Yeah, about VS Code extensions. Yeah, we have an extension for VS Code. It's slightly missing. It didn't receive updates for some time. Actually, we had a small release 1 week ago, just to make it compatible with our latest backend that the VS Code extension uses. I'm referring to MXPy here. But so you can install it and play with it. It doesn't have many features for now, but Mihai can say something more about that after I am done here. So you can install it, play with it, and you can also install. There are some other extensions for VS Code that may help you if you are a smart contract developer. For example, you can download extensions that allow you to view WASM, convert WASM from WASM to WAT, or of course, good engineering and good programming skills will tell you to install GitHub extensions for GitHub, extensions for testing, for running and doing unit tests in whatever language you prefer. Of course, you will need Rust Analyzer for developing smart contracts. So use common sense and read the docs. Yep. And Mihai, about
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Andrei. Yeah, about the Visual Studio Code plugin, we are planning to come with a very cool update at the beginning of October. So finally, the code bot or code assistant will be available. So in regards to this, a sneak peek to say so, you'll be able to generate tests, to run tests, compilable tests. The assistant will be able to support you into developing several smart contract functions. It will be able to explain code. It will be able to also create documentation for your smart contract and also check if it's secure or not. So this is going to be published soon under the umbrella of XAI tools, which has been mentioned quite several times by Benjamin. Thanks. So I think we can go to the next question from Stoyan Christian Andrei. Can we expect some Dockerized templates for SDKs and local development examples? Actually, I think Andrei, you're the
here I think I'm trying to cover some parts of the question. If you've ever used MXPy, you know that there's a local testnet that can be started using MXPy. So you can have a small blockchain on your computer. You can deploy your smart contracts and interact with them. That's only one point. There's another point. You can build your contracts if you by gathering dependencies and prerequisites on your computer, or you can use a readily created Docker image to build your contracts, and actually even to we have a Docker image that also contains the small blockchain I already mentioned. So there is a repository. We call it dev containers. I will write the we don't have. Now I realize that we don't have it mentioned on the docs, but it's publicly available on GitHub. We should merchandise this a bit more. It's a dev container. If you're used to Visual Studio Code dev containers, you will find it very helpful. You can use that as a dev container or as a simple Docker image to build your contracts or to start local test nets. I hope I answered at least 40% of the question. But if you are referring to having Docker templates or containerized the templates for containers for writing code, for writing programs that interact with the network using the JavaScript SDK, the Python SDK, or so on, there's not really a need for such a thing. At least that's what I would recommend. You would simply need to set up a simple TypeScript or JavaScript project and reference some packages. You would only need to set up a simple Python project and reference some packages. Of course, common sense will guide you to use Python virtual environments and so on. But that's like for any kind of developing context. I hope I answered. But please let us know with further questions. So.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andrei. Let's see. Next question. What I found strange is that there's no Rust SDK being WASM that would have been a natural no. Well, actually, we have a Rust SDK, which is quite a very, let's say, good one. But being about developing smart contracts, we grouped it all together with the smart contracts presentations, introductions, and testing framework and framework, which is going to be covered next Monday. So, Matthias, I invite you to join us also next Monday. Samuel, is there any differences between SDKs?
Yeah. Great question, and we will try to cover also what's been asked about the Rust SDK here in the question section. So there are a lot of programming languages in this world. We use now only one programming language to. We recommend only one programming language to write smart contracts. On the other hand, you have more options to write programs that interact with the blockchain, so off-chain programs that talk to the network. You can do that in JavaScript, in Python. These two libraries are very similar one to another, and I will come back to this in a minute. Then you can use some less maintained libraries like the Java one. We have also a Go library, which is rich, but it's a bit different from the JavaScript and the Python ones. And then there's the big Rust framework, which it's designed, of course, to allow you to write smart contracts, but also to allow you to talk to your smart contracts from off-chain software, from off-chain programs. That is also different from the other SDKs I mentioned, and I think on Monday, Andrei will go into much more detail about how to use components of the Rust framework as an SDK to talk to the network. So I said something about the JavaScript and the Python SDKs being somehow similar but slightly different. And I also said that the Go library is different from the other ones, and the Java one is less maintained, and it didn't keep pace with the other ones. They are we are currently working on normalizing or aligning all of the SDKs. We are aligning them with some specs that we are currently working on. And so the specs are in progress. Thus, the alignment is also in progress. So you are going to use the SDKs as they are now, but of course they will over time they will have changes. Of course, there will also be some breaking changes at some point. We will strive to do the transition as smooth as possible and to be as friendly as possible with you. This being said, at some point in the future, we hope into the very near future, like months, like 3 months or 4 months, to have all the SDKs be extremely similar to one another and aligned with the specs. The specs repository is also public on GitHub. It's not very like merchandise until as for now, because it's perhaps it's only 50% ready to be to be shown off with. Hopefully, yeah, this was a very good question. Are they different? Yep, they are different, but they won't be at some close point in the future. And we hope that you will not be too to be driven off by this fact. Thanks.
I actually have, I think, a follow-up question off of this from Samuel. Can REST API be used as similar as an SDK if one SDK we would like to use is not complete?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Right now, the JavaScript SDK can be seen as the most complete along with the Rust SDK. The Rust SDK, the parts of the Rust SDK that act like that can be used to interact with the network from off-chain software is relatively new and less used in production by the community for now. So if you'd like to choose an SDK to write your software, of course you will first look into your heart and choose the programming language you love the most, and that it's accompanied by the tools you know the best. Because just to talk to the network from an off-chain software, you only need some primitives. You only require some primitive. Of course, nice. There are a lot of stuff that's nice to have, and that's only present in some SDKs. But the primitives are available in each of them. And by primitives, I will give a simple example: signing a transaction. Of course, you have the capacity to sign a transaction from any SDK. The other thing, like talking to the API, our public API, or to the gateway or so on, you can code it however you like. We have some libraries to do so. For preparing transactions that call functions of smart contracts, we have components in JavaScript that allow you to do this in a friendly and easy manner. For doing this in Python, it's still doable, but in a less friendly way. And you can code this in any language you like, provided you read the documentation and like followed the how to encode pieces of data and send them to the contract and retrieve them from the contracts. And then you have the Rust SDK, which will get more popular. And Andrei will tell you on Monday a lot about this. And we hope we know you will fall in love with it, and you will write your off-chain code in Rust as well. Yeah, so there you have the richest the components, but the less commonly used in production for now. Yeah.
Everybody loves Rust. The conclusion, even still. Yeah. So I will continue with the questions. For mobile apps track, Kotlin language is supported during this hackathon. This is the question. I found this. We have to check if the SDK is up to date. I really have to check with my colleagues from mobile apps. They will be joining on Wednesday. Is Java even relevant anymore? Definitely, there are use cases for Java as well. How many teams do we have registered? So I don't know exactly how many teams we have registered, but I can tell you that in total, for the entire hackathon, we have close to 700 persons registered. But as Clara mentioned yesterday, the registrations are open until the 16th of October. But don't wait so long, because in order to get, for the ones who want to come in person at Bucharest, in order to get free ticket for participating at the xDay conference and also at the hackathon, you will have to submit the public code that you already wrote into a type form. Our colleagues from Encode will distribute this type form that you would have to complete. And based on the status of the project, by the 15th, 16th of October, we are going to decide, and we will distribute the tickets as NFTs, as probably some of you already know. So it's very important to register. If you have friends who want to participate and did not register yet, tell them to do so, because it's very important to register as fast as possible and start developing. Matthias, so for this hackathon, the vibe I'm getting about SDKs is that really up-to-date ones would be Rust plus TypeScript. Yeah, I don't know here how we should approach. Andrei, Cipri, how?
Well, first, one sentence. Python as well.
Yeah.
End of sentence.
Chippy, do you have something to add about the SDK app?
Yes, we have for the front-end side, we have developed the SDK app library, which is a library dedicated to building apps on our blockchain and facilitate the interaction with the blockchain. Here, this library exposes some components, hooks, and functions that will help the developer to build the app from scratch in a simpler way, I'd say. Here you'll find the possibility to create a transaction, to sign a transaction, to track the transaction status, also the login and logout flows, and many more functionalities. These functionalities are documented. For this hackathon, we rebuilt recreated a bit the documentation around the important pieces around this library, but should be more clear now. For any issues or questions, related to this library, you can directly access the issue section in the GitHub, and we'll support you. Or yeah, you can ask directly on the Discord. Also, to simplify a bit the developer life, we've built a template dApp. Now it's a new version of template dApp created from scratch that contains many more functionalities and also the latest features in SDK dApp. And I would mention the batch transactions support. Yeah.
Thank you. So just as a general response to Matthias, we have several SDKs, even C#, which is up to date, TypeScript, or JS, Python. Depends a lot on what you want to achieve and what you want to do. Okay, Felipe. Indeed, but there is no backend that manage. Okay, this is a response to Alexandru's question. Probably we can tackle it later. Next one is, cannot scroll. Yeah. Laurențiu, I'm trying to understand the interactions between the wallet and the chain via the MX API service, the delegation service, and so on. Are there any resources that go deeper into how this works? Or maybe someone I could ask more questions, especially the design of the system around the delegation contracts and service. Yes, definitely we can put you in contact with the right person. Just get this question on Discord and we will create a thread about it. I'm more than sure that more hackers are interested about the same dilemma that you have. Matthias, can you go a bit over how events work? If log event data is not saved on chain, how could I create, say, an indexer for past events from ledger history? Radu, can you answer this one?
Yes.
Thank you.
So if you would like to index everything from the past, you could do an import DB, how we are calling it, and reprocess all the transactions from the shard that you are interested in, or from all shards, and then parse the logs and events directly from your processing. So there is a way to take the entire database, the entire blockchain until now, and reprocess all the transactions in order to be able to index any additional information that you would like.
Thank you very much, Radu. Ovi, thank you very much for answering so many questions. Claudio, welcome. Ovi, Matthias, sorry for any dumb questions. No worries. Ask any question you have. Also use Discord as well. Create a post or a thread. It would help everybody. Bogdan. Sorry, yes, Clara.
Yeah, sorry. I have two questions that come in the sort of questions form. What does it mean for data to be stored in chain? And is it possible to read this data from outside of the chain by SDK?
Okay. Okay. So when you say you store data on chain, generally speaking, you would store the data within a smart contract. And that's another phrase for this. That, yeah, you store some data on chain. Every piece of data that's on chain is public, right? You can read that piece of data in more ways. One are more technical, some are less technical. You can read the data directly from the chain if you are connected to the network via an observer or node. you can read the data from the API, the public API that it's our public API, or from the our public gateway, or from other ones public gateway or other ones public API, which is backed by observers, or it's backed by an indexer, our public indexer or another's public indexer, which is backed by observers. You can access the data on chain in various ways, and yes, you can access it via the SDK. In the SDK, there are components that allow you to easily connect to the network and ask for a little piece of data from a smart contract. To ask for a little piece of data that's stored within your account on chain. You can store data in smart contracts, or you can store data in your user account on chain. I hope this answered the question. If you were referring to blockchain data by meaning transactions, you can also fetch past transactions. You can write in the chat if this it covers the question. So yeah. Oh, sorry, Clara, you were asking, right? I started to talk and then.
I was just asking for someone else, but if you have more to say to answer the question, then keep going.
So yeah, you can ask for the piece of data that's stored on chain by connecting by creating a so-called network provider and giving it an URL to an instance of a public API or to an instance of a so-called gateway or proxy. And from the code that you write using the SDK, you can write, please fetch data from that account, that piece of data, and then you will get the data as it is at that very moment in time, or as it was. And here the question goes into various directions. The answer goes into various directions. You can also ask the data as it was some time ago, and some time ago can be like blocks and even days. And if you are backed by an API that is backed by some observers that were configured to store the whole absolutely all transitions of the data, you can also fetch the data, fetch the on-chain data as it was at a certain block in the past, even like 1 million blocks in the past. But that's a different discussion. You won't need that too often.
Yep. Thank you, Andrei. Clara, you were having other two questions, I think.
Yeah, just one more question. Someone has asked whether the track prices will be paid in stablecoin like a USDT, or how will they be paid?
Alex?
So it depends on the prices. So there are some special prices that are going to be paid in Ethereum tokens, in HSwap tokens, and of course credits from our partners. But the prices are going to be paid in EGLE for the track specifically.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you. Where did I stop? Bogdan, I think I'm at Bogdan. What is the Discord channel where we can ask for help or ask technical questions? Actually, there are several channels and an entire category for the hackathon. Feel free to use them. Yes. Felipe, at the end, do you provide a list of tasks, features to implement for the hackathon, or it's totally free to choose? Yes, definitely. We are going to provide minimum 10 ideas and challenges for each track of the hackathon. The only issue why we did not publish yet because we are expecting for the track sponsors to also suggest a few of the ideas so that we have everything covered. So short answer, yes. Miriam, does it mean probably that if data is in chain, it is more secure and only authorized people access it, which have keys or APIs? Yeah.
The simple answer is that on public blockchains, all data is readable. If that data is encrypted off-chain, of course it will stay encrypted on-chain. But every piece of data is readable by any party. It's a public blockchain. Either way, you would access that data. There are several ways to access it. As previously mentioned, by means of observers, by means of a public API that's backed by observers, and so on. I will let Radu just to restate or this. But yeah, that's it.
Yes. So you could run an observing squad if you want. So you have 4 nodes on our network, 3 on the shards and 1 on the meta chain, and you could synchronize the state from the beginning. And also, like Andrei mentioned, have access to all of the state, and be able to validate it that the state that you have processed until now corresponds to the state that the validators processed in the past. If you want, if you don't want to use observers and run your nodes, yes, you can access most of the data or the data through our public APIs. You don't need any access keys to use the APIs. But we have some rate limiting on our public API, so you won't be able to download all the data very fast. In order to so that also others are able to query our API. But the data is it's the same security, both on the data from the observers and also from our API. But if you run your observers, you can also check that the data is valid. You don't have to trust our API if you run your actual observers.
Thank you, Radu. A question from Well. This isn't really an SDK related question, but are there event notifiers as a service or made available for the hackathon? Or would we need to deploy our own observers and make the setup ourselves? Actually, yes. There are quite a few event notifiers. I think this is an important topic that I will have to post on Discord. So I will add the event notifiers on Discord later today, all together with the links to the entire set of materials. Just let me write down that. Cool. Next one, Laurentiu. The channel, yes. So Laurentiu, please let me know. Yeah, let me know of your ID, and I will provide the right role so that you can see entire messages. Felipe, I have to jump out. No worries, Felipe. See you on Discord and also in Bucharest. Mihai Șchiopu, tell me what. Yeah, bad joke. I watched workshop about blockchain basics, but couldn't quite get what's the difference between shards and meta chain. Could you elaborate, please? Yeah, Radu,
Yep.
you have the stage.
Yep. So our actual blockchain is split into two main parts: the meta chain and the three processing shards. The addresses and the state of the addresses of the normal wallets are stored on the three normal shards, and any transaction a normal user does is being processed there. The transactions that a specific shard is processing are gathered into the mini blocks that I mentioned in the workshop, and then someone, our meta chain, has to notarize to look at the actual blocks that come from the shards and say, okay, this is the order in which we saw the blocks from the shards. This is very, very important because you have to process first the transaction in the sender shard, so from where it originates. We do there the minus, the deduction. If you want to send 1 e-gold, for example, from shard 0 to shard 2, for an address that is in shard 0 to an address that is in shard 2, first in shard 0, where the sender is, we are going to deduct the value. So that address is going to have -1 e-gold, for example, if you want to send 1 e-gold. This transaction is going to be included in one block, and this block is going to be sent afterwards to the whole shard, but also to the meta chain. If the meta chain has seen this transaction, so it not the transaction, sorry, the block, the meta chain processes block. The shards process blocks with transactions inside. So the meta chain has seen this block. So this block with the transactions inside could be also processed on the destination. So if I started in shard 0, then meta chain is going to see that the block in shard 0 has been processed, and only afterwards the destination shard can process the transaction and add the 1 e-gold that left shard 0 there. So the meta chain is more like a notarization of the blocks. It looks at the blocks from the shards and says, okay, I have seen this block from the shard. Now you can go on the destination shard and process the transactions on the destination. The meta chain has also some other roles, like the staking contracts, the staking providers. The staking contracts run on the meta chain, and also some of the creation of the ESDTs and the meta ESDTs happens on the meta chain, so that it happens just in one place, not in the 2 or 3 places like our shards at once. So the differences would be, yep, the shards process the normal transactions, and the state of the normal addresses and the normal wallets is stored in the 3 processing shards, and the meta chain has some extra work that it's doing, notarizing the blocks from the 3 different shards.
Thank you, Radu. I see one more question that escaped unanswered. One from Samuel. Okay, two new probably in chat. Not really. Can multimedia be stored in blockchain, or can be used ETM to store data and have a contract to identify it? Radu, can you take this one?
Yes. Storing multimedia files in the blockchain is going to cost very, very much. So yes, the blockchain is a distributed database, but because this database has to be replicated on hundreds of or thousands of computers, the storage costs quite a lot. So this is why protocols like Filecoin have appeared, where you don't need to store it on all of the nodes in a blockchain. Just you have to have the data available somehow. So I wouldn't store multimedia data like videos or photos on the blockchain. Um, you could store the hash on the blockchain just to show that the data exists somewhere, and if you retrieve it, you can check that the hash that you stored on the blockchain corresponds to the actual hash of the data. So can it be used by Ethereum to store data and have a contract to identify it? I don't think Ethereum is going to also store multimedia on the blockchain. Like I said, it's very, very not cost efficient to store a lot of bytes or gigabytes on the blockchain because it costs a lot. And have a contract to identify it. Like I said, a protocol for storing and retrieving would be Filecoin, where you have to pay a fee for the storage of your data there. So our NFT data, the pictures that you see for our NFTs, are stored on this protocol, not on our blockchain, actually.
Thank you very much, Radu. Just one question, one second. I'm trying to actually provide well with the link to the notifier. Here it is. He or she can try it. So, no questions left. Probably, I don't know, we can go through. So we have 3 minutes left, right? We can go through some of the rules that you can find on Encode Club. You can find them also on DoraHacks, and you'll be able to find them also on our website soon. So we try to separate the rules in a few categories, and that's why we said general eligibility. Basically, it's very important that participants are able to receive the prizes. Otherwise, we cannot go over the laws and terms of services. Track selection is very important when you are developing a product to state for which track you are going to submit that product. We do not accept products submitted for several tracks. So one team can contribute to several products on several tracks, but we won't accept same product for several tracks. Number of submissions. This is very important to know that we do not accept projects that were developed prior for another hackathon. We will scan them and we will try to find similarities on other tracks. If we find them, the product is going to be disqualified. Maximum team size. We said that all teams must consist of no more than 6 members, and there's no minimum. So you can be a sole developer, or you can have a team of 6. it works, both of them. Now, this is again a very important criteria for taking a product in consideration. For example, having an integration with MultiversX, it's mandatory, and not only MultiversX blockchain, but if you have an integration with xMoney, that's fine. If you don't have in the same time an integration with the blockchain for payments here, I'm thinking, or if you are developing, yeah, I think I am hearing an echo. Or if you are going to develop app for Xportal that does not have to do with MultiversX blockchain, that's also well, it's fine. But it has it has to make part of our ecosystem. For mobile apps and gaming and metaverse tracks, it's very important that code that has to do with the Web3 integration, be it wallet or I don't know, scripts for sending, receiving tokens or NFTs to be made public. But the engine of the app or of the games or the metaverse experience does not have to be made public, because we know that it's very hard to create a very good app or game in short time, and also the details of the engines are the most important fact about the mobile app product or game. For the submission, it's mandatory to have a description. It's mandatory to have a video. The video is going to be displayed in Bucharest at the xDay at the xDay conference on the secondary stage and also on the main stage. The presentation video, our suggestion is to be of maximum 2 minutes, but if it will go to 3 minutes, that's just fine. Also very important is to create a business case. My colleague Alex will pay quite an attention to the business cases. So it's very important to highlight the problem that you aim to solve, the market that you are targeting, and what's the situation on the market. The roadmap, it's very important to see if you have a plan, if you have a plan for further developing the product. Some milestones are very important in the analysis. And for our judges to test the product. So it's very important for every project to have a functional product. I don't know, call it MVP, call it prototype, but it's very important to post it as well. About the public code, open source code, this is very important to submit it as soon as possible. You will have several occasions to share the repository with us, continually update it, because it may happen that when asking support, we can look together at the code base and see if we find a better solution. And please use the Pocket playbooks that we are going to post. Now, about the jury evaluation and the quality of the products, we will have around 20 judges. They will provide score from 0 to 100 for each project. So in order to be judged and eligible for a prize, even though for that track you are the only participant, it's mandatory to score at least 70 out of 100. So each judge is going to award from 0 to 100, and we are going to average that number, and in the end you will have a score. The judging criteria will be published so you would know exactly where you will be evaluated higher, where you will receive a higher or a lower point. Some of the important criteria is going to be innovation, usability, scalability, and the technical execution. That's why for early stage projects, we accept them, but it's very important that those projects will present exactly what was developed for this specific hackathon. So another point very important for the early stage projects, for the project itself, so not the team, it's very important that the project which is being presented at the hackathon was not did not secure any external investment before. And it's also very important that there's no tokenomics published or live for the products. Very important again is to document everything. Document as much as you can. This is also, I see some questions popped in. Alex, can you take those questions?
Yeah, I will go quickly through them as I think we have surpassed the time for this AMA. So Daniel asks about if multiple participants have similar projects. Yeah, there's no problem about that. So you can take part with a similar product as another team is taking part with a similar product, and the best one will win. And this goes also hand in hand with the next question from Doinel, which asks if you can submit multiple projects on the same track. And that's not the case. You can submit multiple projects on several tracks. So if you participate on the AI track, you can also participate in the gaming track with 2 projects from the same team on 2 tracks, but you cannot participate on the same track with 2 projects. Yeah, then Daniel, what's a good idea? Is it represented by the code itself? And yeah, code is a very important part. It makes the product work, but it's not the only thing. It should also change the world, like Mihai said yesterday. It should also have meaning, and we have also some criteria put in place in order to take a look on this and assess these things based on the business case, the video presentation, and the demo itself. So the product need to also make sense. And I'm sure you are going to develop some really cool things that will definitely make sense. Bogdan, can we get some advice regarding what track is best to fit to have a chance of winning? We cannot advise you on which track you should sign up. You should think about what is the most meaningful track for your product. Of course, products can fit perhaps more categories, but if it is truly remarkable on a category, for instance, is like really meaningful on for instance payments, but it also uses AI, you should go for the payments one, and you should like leverage this in your presentation again to really be spotlighted in the right manner. Yeah, cool. Then I think we covered the questions well, and we'll have another MA session very soon.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Sorry, did I interrupt you?
I will go afterwards, Clara.
You'll go afterwards. I won't be long, I promise. I just wanted to say thank you, everyone, for joining, and thank you guys for answering all the questions. And yes, like Alex said, there will be another AMA session actually already on Monday, the 25th, same time, 3:30 p.m. BST. So, and that one will be about SEs. So make sure to join that as well.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time, and see you on Discord, and on Monday. Have a nice weekend.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.